Sports Edition. And you know what? The first one was a bit of a roller coaster. It was just me and Al. This week we have a full team back in, and we even have our first supporter of the week. I'm going to hand you over to our host, Mr. Audio Geek himself.
Indeed, that is me. It's the Audio Geek London, and I have got Greg with me, DJ Golden Child, which is always good to have. Like we said, it was a roller coaster last week, which is the two of us. We have been joined by the third member of the team, Mr. Snells. How you doing?
Yeah, what's good, everyone? Yeah.
Listeners want to know: did you survive the flood in your house?
Yeah. So was going to be on last week's episode. Really looking forward to it. And then all of a sudden, the ensuite shower decided to leak, and I thought the ceiling was going to come in, but we move. It's all fixed.
Survived it. And then we are joined by a guest, Uncle Jay. Uncle Jay, how's it going?
Good afternoon, good evening, and good night. It's Uncle Jay in the house.
Well, he's here to talk about his team. Yeah, we'll get to that. He's here to talk about his team. So his team currently are on absolutely shocking, terrible form. So it could be one of many teams. What team is it, Uncle Joe?
It's Liverpool.
It is Liverpool. So that one I'm looking forward to. I'm gonna
put
on my professional hat, and I'm gonna do my absolute best to be professional and not give my personal opinion on Liverpool. Otherwise, we could be here for a very long time. But instead, what we're going to do is we're going to give a roundup of the European games and the WSL. Greg and Chris will talk boxing. Chris and I will talk UFC. And then everyone will talk the roundup of the Premier League fixtures just gone and what our predictions are for the weekend. So let's get cracking straight away with Europe. So, Serie A, we've got quite a few tasty games over the weekend. Juve drew. Ronaldo got a goal there. Lazio lost. Roma lost to Milan, which apparently was a really decent game. And Milan came back from a previous defeat to Inter. Now, Ibra has gone off injured, and I think the other two forwards have gone off injured, which is good news for Man United fans. Napoli have ended their little losing run and now won 2-0, and Inter have stretched their lead at the top of the table with a 3-0 win, which puts them 4 points ahead of Milan. And in third, surprisingly, quite shockingly, with 46 points, he did score again. But in third, quite surprisingly, is Juve, quite far, 10 points off first, which is quite strange to see. Atalanta are in at fourth, and Roma and Napoli make up the rest of the European places. Well, in the Liga was also quite interesting as well. Sevilla lost to Barca, so Barca picking up a little bit of form there. Messi on the score sheet once again. Atletico went back to winning ways again after losing the week before. And Real Madrid on Monday drew with Sociedad. Sociedad, who were absolutely trounced by United and were in actually good form. I was surprised that United beat them so easily because they are a very decent team. And if you look at the league table, they're in fifth, so they're in the European spaces, not far off fourth. Sevilla in fourth. Madrid and Barca share second and third with exactly the same points, exactly the same record, with a goal difference of 10 in between them. And Atletico are first by a quite good margin of 5 points and a game in hand. And if you've been watching and reading the roundup of the European news, the 5-0, the police stormed Barcelona's offices only the other day, and they have arrested the previous president, who was the reason why Messi wanted to leave, Bartomeu. He was arrested in connection with the Barcagate scandal, which is the scandal where apparently they employed a company to put out these fake stories against their team players, and so that's looking pretty peak for them. If we move over to Ligue 1, we've got PSG, who popped back with a win after losing to Monaco last week. I think Mbappe got on the score sheet there. Marseille drew with Lyon. Lille drew with Strasbourg, and Monaco beat Brest 2-0. And actually, you'd probably think PSG are top of that league. They are not. They are second, 2 points behind Lille. Lyon in third, Monaco in fourth, making the last of those European spots. Now, WSL, we went back from international week and we are now back in full swing. Tottenham lost to Everton. Jill Scott got a goal after her landmark 150 cap for England, which is good for her. City beat Birmingham 4-0, so they are putting heat on Chelsea, the current champions. And Arsenal picked up a little bit of form. They had been losing quite a lot recently. They picked up a bit of form and beat Villa 4-0, meaning... And it's funny to look at this WSL because it kind of mirrors quite exactly where the WSL is at the moment. You've got Chelsea top, who are the current league leaders and current champions. 2 points behind them is City. In third is United. In fourth is Arsenal. And in fifth is Everton. And I'd probably say that's probably the order of the best. If you ever want to know about WSL, that's probably the order of how good the teams are. That's probably very accurate. And that is your football roundup. So now I'm going to pass it over to Chris and to Greg, and they are going to give us a recap of this week's boxing news.
Yeah, so there was a lot of fighting this weekend. So we had Saturday morning, started off with the Joseph Parker versus Junior Farr, a big heavyweight clash, especially for the New Zealand fans out there. Obviously, Junior Farr beat Joseph Parker in the amateurs. It's a bit of a revenge fight. Obviously, Parker's chasing WBO #1 spot. So he wanted to give a good performance in this fight. And I'm not going to lie, the fight was awful. One of the most boring fights I've ever seen. If I'm honest, I think Joseph Parker lost. Again, in boxing, we have to talk about how bad the judges' scorecards were. They were ridiculously wide for Joseph Parker. And I'm starting to think with boxing judges, it's a popularity thing. If you're a popular fighter, you probably get the decision on the cards. It was bad. I would say go back and watch it, but it's a bit of a snore fest. And that was at like 11 a.m. in the morning. So, yeah, it wasn't the most entertaining fight. But Parker got the W and moves on. I believe he is now got a fight with Chisora coming up, which is probably going to... I can see him losing that, if I'm honest. I have to say, I don't think Joseph Parker's an elite heavyweight in the division. I think me and Chris spoke about this, about Joseph Parker. He's not elite, is he, Chris?
So he's... I don't like to throw this phrase around because I think it's really disrespectful to essentially what is a world-class operator. And let's not get it confused. There's world-class and there's elite. There's a big difference between that. And world-class is still unbelievable achievement. If you've ever held a world title, international title, you're still a very, very, very good boxer. But I think he was built up as being someone that could help push boxing in that region of the world, the Oceanic region. And he was very strong, very tough, very durable. And then they built up that Joshua fight, didn't they? And they were thinking, oh, is he going to be the one that's going to stop Joshua? And Joshua wasn't at his best, just kind of boxed him, and it was all a bit comfy, wasn't it? And they were like, okay, well, let's bring him down a level again. Let's see, can he cope with Dillian? And Dillian, but apart from the last 30 seconds of the last round, was comfortably dealing with him again, and he just keeps going down the ladder to try and find his level to try and build him back up. And
he hasn't got heavyweight knockout power.
He's a small heavyweight without knockout power, and the only way you can do that is being really fast or really powerful. When he's neither, unfortunately, he's just very very tough, which is commendable. So
Parker moves on. I know he's trying to fight out for the WBO #1 spot, but obviously Usyk is going to fight Joe Joyce, and that's probably going to be for #1 mandatory of the winner of the inevitable Tyson Fury Anthony Joshua fight. But we move on. The next fight, probably like Chris said earlier, the biggest fight of the weekend was Canelo versus Yordenis, which again was a mandatory for the WBC. I do not know how Yordenis was the #1 WBC super middleweight contender, considering that Chris Eubank Jr. dispatched with him in 6 rounds. This was always going to be one-sided. It was a 3rd round TKO. Yildirim got knocked down in the 3rd. Didn't throw many punches during the whole fight, and he didn't come out for the start of the 4th. So his corner pulled him out. In fact, it was quite interesting. During that fight, after the end of the 3rd round, you heard Yildirim's corner say, like, show me something or I'm pulling you out. And he obviously didn't give the right response, and they didn't put him back out for the 4th. And that was the end of the fight. Obviously, at the end of the fight, like we all knew, Canelo named his next opponent, which is Billy Joe Saunders, for a unification fight, which is very tasty. Billy Joe, if he's right in the head, I don't think he's going to beat Canelo, but I think it will be a very entertaining fight. I also think that the build-up to that fight will be also very interesting because Billy Joe will try and get in Canelo's head. Chris, what did you think of that fight?
That's such a difficult fight for Billy Joe to win. Now, I really rate Billy Joe. I know his resume isn't great. He's had a lot of troubles. He may even be a questionable character, but that's not really what we're talking about. In terms of his boxing ability, when he's on form, I believe he's one of the best pure boxers this country has. He's a tricky southpaw. He's quick. He's got great reactions. He's got great footwork. He knows how to box. He's got good ring craft. Is he big enough? Is he strong enough? Does he hit hard enough to stop Canelo coming forward? No. Is Canelo gonna be afraid of his power and stop walking him down? No. The only way I really see Billy Joe winning is on the scorecards. And as we've seen with perhaps the first Triple G fight, the likelihood that Canelo loses on a tight decision is probably less likely than it's just not happening, is it? You can't see Canelo losing on a close decision on cards. He makes too much money. He's too big. He's just not. So Billy Joe's going to have to really outbox him so obviously. And even then, look what happened with Fury and Wilder in the first fight. It's going to be really difficult.
To be honest, I think, again, we spoke about scorecards and how bad judging have been over the last couple of weekends. That fight goes to the scorecards. Canelo is the golden boy of boxing. Number one, he's the number one pay-per-view fighter in the world behind just in front of Anthony Joshua. There's no way, if it's a tight fight, he's going to.
How embarrassing would that? How embarrassing would that be for DAZN and DAZN? Sorry, and
DAZN
and Canelo. He's got like 54 fights. Like the only people he's lost to are Floyd. Who else has he lost to?
No, Jay lost to Floyd. One defeat.
Is that the only loss? So he's lost. He lost to Prime,
and he learned so much from that fight anyway. No, I don't think he did. I think he lost to a Floyd on the way out. I just think he was just inexperienced to deal with.
Well, it depends if you think Money Floyd or Pretty Boy Floyd was better.
But
again, going back to Billy Joe could do it on paper. Like if you were going to simulate on a boxing game and you took away all the other factors like the likelihood of there being a fair commission and all the rest of it, he could do it stylistically. He's got the style to do it. Look what Amir Khan was doing to Canelo before he got equalised. But that's the problem, isn't it? Canelo has got light heavyweight power in a super middleweight frame now with a little help from some Mexican meat.
I also think Saunders gasses out second half of the fight. The first 6 he'll be on point, then he gasses out towards the end, and I also think that Canelo has fought just a better fighter.
He's got a massively better resume.
Look at Callum Smith. Callum Smith was. I don't think Billy Joe beats Callum Smith. If I'm honest, I don't think Billy Joe beats Callum Smith. And Canelo dealt with Callum Smith quite easy.
Yeah,
and I can see it being an easy points win for me. I think the press leading up to the fight would be more entertaining than the actual fight itself. But I think it'd be one
that's difficult though, isn't it? Because you look at the Callum Smith matchup and you think, wow, he's massive for super middleweight. Like he should be a light heavyweight or maybe cruiser, etc. But it's funny. You look at range and you know that sort of thing, and you think, he should be able to jab and move, etc. But Canelo's got the perfect equalizer for someone at range. He's got an unbelievable body attack. Like his hooks are nasty. I feel ill watching them. I think I could be wearing one of them body pads, and he could hit me one of them, and I would sit down, take a knee, be like, nah, I'm out. So
it's just the ease of how he does it as well. He hits the body.
If you're rangy, you are vulnerable to the inside body attack, and that's what he's got. But he's just such an intelligent fighter.
It's definitely going to be a cracking.
It'd be a late stoppage, in my opinion. Canelo late stoppage.
I think Canelo wins easy on points. But yeah, we look forward to that fight, Billy Joe versus Canelo. Next, we had a good undercard as well. Jili, the big Chinese heavyweight versus Jerry Forrest. Now, this fight, I don't know, many boxing fans probably don't know about Zhang Jili. He is something like, what is he?
He's 6'6" or 6'7". Like, he's a big boy.
Yeah, he's massive. So he was the clear favourite for this fight. He knocked Jerry Forrest down 3 times in the first 3 rounds. This was a 10-round fight or 12-round fight?
It was 10. It wasn't
10. Yeah, it was 10-round fight. After the 3 rounds, Zhang Jili sort of gassed out, and it ended up being a draw. Now, boxing historians have said that they can't think of any fight where someone has been knocked down 3 times and come back to win or get a draw.
And it was a majority draw as well, wasn't it? Someone gave it to him.
Yeah. Yeah, so Jerry Forrest did come on strong towards the end. He celebrated like he won the fight, but I suppose he'd been knocked down. And one of the knockdowns, he went face first. And normally when you get knocked down face first, you don't normally get up. So he got up and battled that back. Jang Jili, in a result of that, has been hospitalized for the last 3 or 4 days and is apparently suffering from severe dehydration. He's 37 years old. So if he can't get past people like Jerry Forrest, I don't think he's
Yeah,
going
he
to
called
be
that. He
in
called that
heavyweight
AJ,
weight.
didn't he? Like, there's levels. He's not there.
But that was the weekend's roundup of boxing. There's some good upcoming fights this month. We've got Lawrence Okoli versus Glowacki for the WBO World Heavyweight title, which is on March the 20th. That's going to be a good one. We've also, which has been announced this week, which is going to the purse bids, we have Filip Hrgovic, the big Croatian heavyweight who is a prospect in the division. Yeah, he's going up against Michael Hunter. That's a very tasty fight with a date for that. And that is for the mandatory IBF number 1 contender spot. It was meant to be Charles Martin, but he withdrew with an injury. So that will be a very good fight. Obviously, Hrgovic is 12-0-10.
I don't think God's got injured.
And and Hunter is 19-1-1. So obviously that'll be a good fight. And then obviously it's been announced this week that Andy Ruiz is coming back and he is going to be fighting Chris Arreola. I can only seen that be in a one-side fight and a tune-up. Ruiz looks in good shape. He looks like he's the Robles camp, which also has Ryan Garcia, Canelo. He's he's probably the small Oscar Valdez. That's probably the best camp in boxing right now. So if you can't step your game up when you're in that sort of company, you're not the guy. So that's obviously going to be, I think that'll be a one-sided fight. Areola's finished, but apparently there's talks that it's going to be pay-per-view. I don't know who will be paying for that. But Al, that is your boxing roundup.
Well, quite a comprehensive one at that as well. So, Chris, let's have a look at the UFC this week, and I'm particularly excited.
Oh my lord, I'm so excited.
It's been a while. I tend to get excited when Kamaru Usman fights. I get excited when Adesanya fights. I get excited when any of the big heavyweights fight.
You like your girl Nunes, though, don't you?
I hadn't even got to Nunes. You know, a big fan of Amanda Nunes, and I think it's a long time since you've had a card like this. You've got 4 champions on one card in 3 title fights. So let's start off with the first one. So it's the bantamweight title. It's got Petr Yan versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, I like Aljamain Sterling quite a lot. They say that he's the John Jones of the bantamweight division. He's tricky, he's rangy, yeah, he's unpredictable.
Good off his good wrestling.
I think
good jiu-jitsu.
I think he gets it done. You know, I don't know. I've got a feeling he gets it done.
On paper, he's got all the attributes to be able to do it because Jan's got good wrestling, etc. But he's not really been tested in a submission battle. However, given the bad blood or the perceived bad blood, you never know how much of it's real and how much it's fake. I think he'll want to stand and trade with Yan, and then if that's the case, I think Yan will get it done because his striking is very, very good.
You're going for Yan. I'm going for.
I think Yan will get it done.
I can't split Nunes and Anderson. At Megan Anderson, I'm a big fan of. You know, big.
She's very, very tall, but I think Nunes. I think Nunes takes her out.
She's 6 foot, which is very rare in the women's division. She's 6 foot, which is very rare in the featherweight division. And I don't know. She's done all right. I think her biggest loss has really been Holly Holm. And she's a beast, so that's not the worst thing in the world to happen. But Nunes, yeah, you can't deny it. I think
she'll be beaten before she gets in the ring. I think she'll look across at a double champ that's absolutely battered everyone, including Cyborg, and will go, "Oh, this is real now."
So she's not. So let's be honest. So Anderson's not going to knock her out, but I do think there's a possibility if she stays in the whole fight, she can just use her range and kind of do it like Adesanya does it. He kind of just. You know, it's jabs, it's kicks, it's staying at range. And then when you're seeing your opportunities, you're basically point fighting. Do you know what I mean? Just getting on the scorecard, point fighting, staying, make sure she doesn't go to the ground, getting in, looking like she's busy. And then you never know if it goes the full 5 rounds, someone might give it, But I think what you can see about Nunes is, God, like what someone said it the other day. I think it was, what's his face? Podcast announcer. What's his name? I've got his name. Joe Rogan. He'd said, yeah, in terms of pound for pound UFC fighters, she's in there. It doesn't. It removes any male or female. Pound for pound, she's massively up there. She's an absolute beast. She's just had a child, so her partner has just had a child, so she's just become a new mum. So apparently that's given her more fire in her belly. But who are you going for? You going for Nunes or Anderson in this one?
Yeah, Nunes comfortably. I think she could knock out second round.
I think it will be. I think it will go quite late. I think if it goes into the fifth, I think Anderson might nick it in points. I think if not, maybe you're looking at Nunes stoppage in fourth. And then you've Blachowicz, Adesanya. So for those who don't know about this fight, it's the thing about this is kind of like Liverpool United, isn't it? You build these things up, everyone gets excited, and it's often just like the one that hurt me the most was Adesanya Romero. That's what I was looking forward to, and that was trash. But you've got Jan Blachowicz, the brand new Polish power light heavyweight champion, also just had a child, training in the Baltics of Poland, real tough guy. Really, really pushed it to get where he is. Then you've got Israel Adesanya, the new Conor McGregor, the new John Jones, the cool kid on the block, the last style bender. He's got all the styles, all the range, all the unpredictability, and absolutely, this guy was doing WWE walk-in entrances in title fights. Who walks into the ring with a dance troupe, does a breakdance medley, and then goes and defends his title? And then
a real bad
that's
man.
a G. That's an absolute
real bad man.
I actually saw that.
This is what the guy is doing in this sport, cool. And he stepped up to light heavyweight because, to be fair to him, he has said, "I want to fight the best." He's cleaned out the middleweight division, and they've offered him a super fight with Jan Blachowicz, so he could really go from being middleweight champion a year ago or so to being light heavyweight and middleweight champion. I can't call this one. What are you saying, Chris? I can't call it.
I think Jan's getting disrespected because he's not the superstar that Izzy is, but at the same time, he's a monster. On BT Sport app at the moment, they're replaying, obviously, like they always do, and lead up to big UFC cards. The fight they've highlighted is the one for the interim belt, Izzy versus Kelvin Gastelum.
That was a good fight, man.
That was an unbelievable fight. Like Izzy's never looked less comfortable in a stand-up because obviously Kelvin had that. Kelvin had one of the best strike coaches in the world in his corner. They had a real good game plan, but going into that fifth round, like when it's a clearly 2-2, and Izzy's pulled it out. There's that famous clip, isn't there, of that gif of him looking down at Kelvin, and someone's lip read it, and it says, "I'm ready for this. I'm prepared to die." And his face is like all bruised and swollen and battered, and he's just like calm as anything. Takes a deep breath and just goes, "I'm prepared for this. I'm ready to die," or something to that effect. And I just, ever since then, he's just got better and better and better. And people, like you said, like the Romero fight was boring because he respected Romero's ability to just explode, so just didn't engage him, so that he didn't have that ability to counter. Rightly got the win. It wasn't there to. He was there to defend it, wasn't he? He wasn't there to make any more fans. Didn't need to. Wasn't on him to push it.
No, not at all.
And then everyone was like, Paulo Costa's going to be the guy, and Paulo Costa was not the guy.
Have you heard
he was
the
talking the most.
He's given recently for that.
Yeah,
for that
he was saying that he got pissed the night before.
Listen. We'll get to that. We'll get to Liverpool fans. We'll get to that soon about excuses. A wise man told me, man, never give excuses for your frailties because people don't want to hear it. People don't want to hear excuses.
Shots fired.
Do you know what I mean?
A year on, no one cares. Like he could have had a full night's sleep and a heavy case of
one cares, boss.
John Jones Dutch courage, and he still would have got laid out. He was just found wanting in every aspect.
Do you know what I want to hear? Yeah. So today, someone was supposed to come to my house today to take pictures because we're putting it back on the market, and he was late. When he came in, what I want to hear from him is, "I'm sorry for being late." That's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear the reason why, because it's not my business. I don't care why you're late. All I care about is this is my time. So apologize for it and crack on and do your job. And that's what people want to hear. People do not want to hear, "Oh yeah, I couldn't find parking. I couldn't find this." How can you sit there and tell me as an athlete you drank a bottle of red wine before a world title fight and use that as an excuse? Are you mad?
Yeah, hydration is so
That's
important.
a little bit insulting as well to the crowd.
Hydration is so important in sports. You want to drink something that's going to dehydrate.
He said he couldn't get to sleep, so he had one glass of wine, he had another glass of wine. Bruv, that's your business. That's your business. Like, if you go into a world title fight with half of a whole bottle of wine in your system, that's not an excuse. That's just stupidity. But anyway,
have you heard of like Nitro or whatever it is? Like just chill.
Either way, what you saying, Blachowicz or Adesanya?
I think
that's insulting.
I think Izzy either gets a late stoppage or a comfortable points win. I think I think that Jan's not going to try and take him down. I know he's a lot bigger than what Izzy's been fighting, but I think Izzy will go. Will stick with a sort of karate stance, and he'll just pick him apart with leg kicks. He'll take his legs. He'll take his legs out under him, and then he may get a late finish.
Now, what I agree, what I like about Adesanya is he does that point fighting to get in. So what he will do, he will spend those first couple of rounds peppering you with the jab, with the kicks, and then eventually, by the time you hit second or third round, it's got his timing. Your leg is beat up, your side of your body is beat up, and then he goes to work. And I think
he's got phenomenal technique, and he doesn't over. No,
it's measured, and I think Blachowicz will try and hunt him down, which will just be Adesanya's game plan all along. If you hunt him down,
he'll walk onto it like Whitaker. He'll walk onto it. He'll walk onto a check hook, and that'll be it.
So then eventually he'll realise that's not going to work. So then he'll slow it down. Then I think Adesanya then goes into autopilot, and then I think I don't know if he'll stop him, but I think he might get it on points.
It's whether he wants it. Like if Jan gets desperate or he thinks he's got more confidence there than he should have, he may try and take Izzy down. If he tries to do that, then Izzy will know straight away, right, you don't want to stand and trade me. And not only that, Izzy's got great takedown defense. So
he's a cook boxer. He's a real true kick that you want to keep it on the feet.
But all of that is it Aka gym, isn't it? The Kiwi gym with like Volkanovski and Dan Hooker and that. They're all their takedown defense. All of them is phenomenal. They drill it so often. So Izzy will keep it standing. And
when is this fight?
This is 6 a.m. Sunday morning. And it's one of those ones you do get up for. I think the last one that I got up for that I really enjoyed was the Kamaru Usman Kobe Covington one. I enjoyed that one. That was a phenomenal fight. I think this is going to be something similar, and I just want to put it out there. You know, if he beats Blachowicz and takes the light heavyweight and the middleweight, mate, I think there's no place for Conor McGregor left in that organization. This guy who goes up and gets middleweight and light heavyweight, that's hard. That is hard, man.
He'll do a couple of years of light heavy, and then he'll go for heavyweight.
Yeah, that's impressive.
He's 6'4", he's big enough.
Yeah, he's a big lad. But anyway, we move on from that. Let's move on to the roundup of the Premier League games that have just gone.
Before we get onto that, Al, I just remind people, please remember to like, share, and follow. Remember, this does help when you leave us a comment, and the algorithm, especially on YouTube, it really does help. So don't forget, like, share, follow. And you know what? We are still looking for fans of each Premier League club. So if you want to be part of this podcast, hit us up on the DMs or on our email, and we'll be in contact with you.